Hey class, and thank you to all those subscribers watching my YouTube channel. This is Ms. Evans again with evolution number 2, test review and preparation. Hope we all get to learn some new things today. First thing I want to discuss today is plant adaptations. We did watch a Study Jams video in class about this, but I want to talk about a couple of things that maybe we didn't quite cover yet. Okay, the first adaptation that I want to talk about is in a desert plant, the root system. If you take a look at the top right picture, you're going to see that some of those plants that live in a desert, they have to have a lot of roots in order to get all of that water that's coming through the sand. Okay, so they have very extensive root systems, and that is an adaptation that helps them survive longer. Other adaptations would be plant color. You can take a look at that butterfly that's on the flower. That color attracts the butterfly and also helps the plant by getting the pollen, getting pollinated, spreading seeds, things like that. Okay, and the last and third one I'm going to refer to is going to be from that graphic. And then seed dispersal. So plants can't move. And so in order to have their seeds transferred to a new area, they have to come up with some kind of cool adaptations in order to allow that to happen. So it could be the seeds will be moved by winds. Sometimes they're moved by water drops and rain. Sometimes it's going to be an animal that it gets attached to the fur. And then sometimes it gets stuck there and clings there. And all of those ways are all ways that plants are going to be able to reproduce. All right. Animal adaptations, we spent quite a bit of time in class talking about those because those are some of the easier ones to notice and to see. So I included a graphic that we talked about with vocabulary. I added the polar bear. You can read all of those different things that polar bears have for adaptations: strong legs, sense of smell, the body shape, all those things that kind of help them survive longer in that really harsh environment. And then kind of like a little cute, friendly one would be the panda bear. A panda actually has kind of like a thumb. You can kind of see him like he's grasping that bamboo, and that thumb kind of helps him aid in eating. Not all panda bears have had this. If you take a look back at the fossil record, they didn't usually have that, what they call a sixth toe. So that would be the adaptation that was formed by natural selection. All right, kind of a question for you. This is a real life example of the snowshoe rabbit. It changes its color depending on what season it is. So it's not just born one color and stays that color its whole lifespan. It changes depending on if it's winter or summer. So I have an example of winter. I have an example of kind of that in-between time of the year when it's spring, but sometimes it's got some snow on the ground, and then I have a summer picture. Okay, so what advantage would there be to changing color seasonally? Bum, 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 bum. Oh, camouflage to hide from predators. You're so smart. Okay, selective breeding is another vocabulary word that we discussed in class, and I just found a couple more examples to kind of talk to you about. Chickens, and I have set over time what the chicken used to be in the farming industry. So in 1957, you can see chicken, pretty good size, 905 grams, okay? 1978, about 20 years later, 1,808 grams, so it's getting a little bit more bulky, a little bit bigger. Got those chicken wings, those thighs, it's delicious. And then 2005, 4,000 grams. And so what people did, okay, so this isn't natural selection, this is selective breeding, okay? People are choosing the traits that they like the best, and they're having those traits grow up in those offspring, the ones that they have the best traits. So in this case, the chickens, which are the biggest, those offspring that are the biggest chickens, hey, we're going to let you have a kid, okay? And they have a bunch of kids, and then once again, they pick which offspring is the biggest and the fattest, and then they have that offspring have more kids in the future. So it's just over time. It's not overnight. It's over time, years and years and years, and you just keep. As humans, we pick what traits we like the best out of the organism, and it could be a plant, it could be an animal, and we have those organisms have offspring, and then once again, out of the offspring, we pick which one is the best. And we just keep going down the line, down generations, and then we get something that is beneficial to people. Same thing with dogs. We talked about common ancestors, the common ancestor would be a wolf, and then all of the dog varieties that we have today, those were all caused by human selectively breeding. Okay. Extinct and living species, if I want to compare and learn about each of them, the best thing to look at is if I've got my fossils, or maybe like if it's a turtle, I look at the shell, and if I have a living one today, I basically compare those and see what similarities and differences there are. You can't get DNA from a fossil. You'd have to get DNA from, like if it was frozen in ice, like a woolly mammoth, we can get DNA that way. But those fossilized bones or imprints, they have no DNA for us, okay? Just a kind of reminder, if it's towards the top, if you're just digging up and it's the first thing you hit, it's pretty young. And the deeper you dig, the older it is. And if it's proving evolution, as you dig down, you should see changes in the organism. If it was all the same, there would be no evidence for evolution. And then one last reminder before I say goodbye for today is the differences between sexual and asexual reproduction. I want you to first look at that little graphic I have on the side of the shell. You can see that if it's asexual, the parent and the offspring and the kid look exactly alike. Okay? Exactly. And so if there's any problems with the genetic material, or if a disease comes and wipes out that one, well, they're all the same, so it's going to kill every single organism, okay? The only really good advantage is they can reproduce a lot faster because you don't have to try to look around for a mate. You're just yourself, and so you just split in half, basically. Okay, sexual reproduction gives a lot of variation, which is we learned about for evolution is a good thing. It could have survival mechanisms in there. And so with sexual reproduction, you've got two parents, and the offspring is kind of like a combination of both parents. It's a mixture of both parents. Okay, so the disadvantages, it's slower, it takes energy and time to find a mate. However, you do get more variation, you do have more chances of mutation, you've increased your chances of survival. Okay, here are my works cited pages. I am so excited that you guys are watching this. I wish you the best on your assessment in the next day or so, and you rock. Talk to you later.